Welcome everyone. In this video I will be discussing the ATAS platform. We will be going over the basic startup guide to get it up and running, tips and tricks, and at the end I will be going over my workspace that I use on a daily basis. So first things first, you are going to need a data feed. We recommend setting up an Apex account and connecting the Rhythmic data they provide you to the ATAS platform. Apex is currently offering a 90% off sale if you guys use the code LNVG TAFP. That'll give you 90% off the first sub and then 80% off the recurring. Now, once you guys have that connection established, you want to head over to Connections on the dashboard. You can see I already have mine connected right here. So you're going to want to go down to Add. You're going to want to find Rhythmic. Click on Next. Put in your Apex login right here. So the login and then the password. For server, you want to click this, scroll down until you see Apex, and then click Chicago area. I don't have aggregated quotes checked or connect via RTrader. Neither one of these are checked for me. So once you have your login established, just go ahead and finish, and then it should pop up like mine is right here. I have is market data checked, and then auto connect on startup checked. And then once you have that good to go, there should be a connect button right here on the right. So once you click that, it should be connected. If it's not connected, just go ahead and make sure you did everything properly. Make sure you put in your login and password properly. All right, once that is done, I recommend adjusting your time zone settings on ATAS to match the Eastern open and close for futures. To do that, go to the Settings tab on the ATAS dashboard, be found here to the right of Home. Then go to Time Zones right here. All right, so the exchanges you need to change if you are trading ES, NASDAQ, or CL contracts, CL also known as oil, you need to change Amex, CME, COMEX, NASDAQ, NYMEX, NYSE, and NYSE Index. So this is the tricky part. These are based on UTC time zones. Since I am in the New York time zone, I am currently UTC -4. For COMEX, it is 2 hours forward, and for the NYSE index, it is 2 hours back. So basically, all of them are -4 for me, but then COMEX is -2, and NYSE index is -6. It's a little confusing. The best way to do this is to match it with your TradingView chart. So if you guys use TradingView, TradingView is also based on the UTC time zone. So figure out which UTC time zone you have set up on TradingView, and then match that to your ATAS platform. Basically, you want to be matching the open and close of those sessions with that time zone. Okay, now that we have that done, the next thing you want to do is head over to Hotkeys, right here. Personally, I do not trade with Hotkeys, so I disabled nearly all of these so that I don't accidentally take trades. This is personal preference, of course, but I went ahead and went through global, I cleared them, trading, cleared, charting, cleared, but I did turn on the delete selected. So if I want to delete any drawings that I make that the delete key, but then everything else is disabled. If you would like to trade with hotkeys, just go ahead and double check that these hotkeys are the ones that you are familiar with. Okay, now that we have our connection established and our basic settings complete, let's actually go get some charts going. So ATAS offers some chart layouts for you right away if you click the quick start guide in the top left, right here. These chart layouts are actually pretty good. They're a good foundation to build from, or you can just go ahead and start from scratch. I'll show you a couple of these to get started. So once you click it, it will ask you which ticker you want to load. We're just going to go ahead and load ES. And then if we want to make this full screen, you can just double click the border there. In some basic controls for ATAS, you can left click and drag the chart around. You could also zoom in and out with the mouse wheel. If your scale ever gets messed up and you want to reset it, you can press the F. It's a really small F key, or I should say F button up here on the top right, and that will reset your scale. If we're ever zooming around and we want to reset the chart, it will also give you this arrow key that you can go ahead and click and it will reset the chart. If you're starting the day late and you're missing some data, what you can do is you can right click the chart and press this reload all historical data button, and it will make sure it loads all the proper data for that session. Another thing you can do if you don't want to use the quick start, you can just start from scratch on the home button here. You can click chart. This will give you a very basic chart to start with. You can click Smart DOM. This will give you a basic DOM to start with. You can try out the Smart Tape. And then from there, you can go ahead and adjust your settings to your personal preference. Now to save time, I'm going to pull up my workspace and go over some basic settings changes that will make your charts look much better. So to pull up workspaces, you have to go to Settings, go to Workspace, and you should see all of your saved workspaces here. If you guys are Discord members, I have my workspace in the Settings channel. You can go ahead and download that and then import it so that it will show up here in your workspace. Once it's imported, just go ahead and click on it and then click Load. It will ask you if you want to save your current workspace. We don't need to since we don't really have one. And then there we go. Here is my basic workspace that we use on a day-to-day basis. So I want to go over a few settings changes that we typically use. So first things first, if you guys are using the VWAP indicators, they show up with a ton of different lines and shading and whatnot. So to make that easier on your eyes, you can go into the VWAP settings here, and you can go through and you can turn off all of these different deviations and shadings. They're called fills on ATAS. So I have all of these turned off, and I have them all transparent. So we turned off their visibility, and I've made their color transparent, so we do not see them. Now, what you guys may notice on my live stream is I have two different VWAPs. I have the full session VWAP, the daily VWAP, and then I have a custom VWAP set to a custom period. And then I have this button here, custom starting point, checked. And then I have hotkeys so that I can make a custom VWAP. And basically what that does is, if I click on my chart and I press that hotkey, it's going to make that VWAP for me. So my solid VWAP is my custom one. Typically, we start that at 9:30 in the morning. And my dotted one is the full session VWAP, which starts at 6 p.m. Eastern that previous day. Some other settings that I like. I have a 1 hour moving average, an EMA, on my delta. So if you would like to set that up, all you have to do is you pull up the delta, make sure that is on your chart. So we have that on panel 1. And then we have an EMA, this one right here, set up on the delta. So on source here, instead of using price as the source, it's using the cumulative delta as the source. And we have it set to a 60 period because we want that to be a 1 hour average. And then you set it up on the same panel that you have your delta set up. So if we go to our delta, you can see it is on panel 1. So that EMA is also on panel 1. Some other settings that we like for our market profile and TPO chart that also has the volume profile here. If we go over to our market profile, go to settings here. And if you can't find your indicators up here on the top left, There's a couple ways to get there. You can either click this button right here, which is the indicator button. You can right click and then find indicators right there, or you can click it on that drop down. So now that we're here in indicators, let's pull up our market profile. You can see we have it set to market profile and TPO. That's going to put them side by side like this. We have the custom period set to 9:30 because we only want to have that profile start at the 9:30 open, and then it closes at 5 p.m. The big settings changes that we made for this can be found in the TPO settings. Prices per row, this is per ticks. We have 8. So what that means is how many ticks is each letter going to be? If you guys are familiar with my live stream, I like my TPO letters to be 2 points. So 2 points on ES is 8 ticks. Now, if you guys are trading NASDAQ or oil or anything else, I would probably just leave it on auto. But for ES, we like to use 2 points. Here are the rest of my settings if you guys would like to match them. I believe most of these settings are default. Another very helpful thing that you can add to your charts is actually an indicator. It's called bar timer, and it's going to do exactly what it sounds like. It is going to be a timer for that current bar. So I have these on every single one of my charts. So we have a 1 minute up here on the top left. We have the 30-minute over here, and then we have the 5-minute right here. So I have a bar timer set up for each one of those charts. Okay, next up, I'm going to show you some basic things you can do with the footprint charts. So if we right-click and we go to settings here, not indicators. So if you ever want to change your footprint settings, you want to click settings, not that indicator button. So we go to settings, and then we go to cluster settings. This will be where you find your footprint settings. So we have it set up to be delta because we want to have the delta footprint. We have it set to positive and negative delta profile, which makes it kind of look like a ladder here. Color scheme, basically personal preference. Nothing crazy there. And then the rest of this is pretty much just personal preference. Maximum volume type, we have it set to trades. And then everything else is default. If you are using a footprint chart, a powerful indicator I recommend that you add to your chart is this one at the bottom. So if we go to our indicators, this indicator is called cluster statistics. And it has a bunch of different data points that you can show. This is completely personal preference. What I like to show is the session delta, the normal delta, the volume, and that's pretty much it. Here are the rest of my settings if you would like to match them. I believe most of these are default. Next up is for the tape. If you guys start a tape, what I recommend doing is changing your columns. Completely personal preference how you would like to change them. To change your columns, if you right-click on a column, go to Show Column Chooser, and this will bring up all the different columns you can choose from. Currently, I am using the time the trade is coming in, the price the trade is trading at, the volume of that trade, and then this bar right here, this green and red bar, that is the buy-sell power. Basically what it's doing is it's like the ticks. So if you guys are familiar with the tick indicator that shows you how strong the bullish or bearish ticks are, that is what that indicator is showing you. Another thing that I recommend with this tape is if you right-click, go to Settings, and then go to Filters. If you would like to filter your tape, this is where you want to do it. I have mine set to a 25 trade filter. If you guys are familiar with trading ES, if you do not set a filter up, the tape is going to be extremely fast because of all the bots in the algorithms. So what I like to do is I like to raise that to a 25 filter, and I have that set up on cumulative and separate. And I have both of these settings set up for the 25 minimum volume. Now, if you would like alerts, you could also set up alerts here. So what I have set up is I have a 300 block trade minimum filter. So when a block trade comes in, it's going to shade that for us. It's going to be a purplish shading. Obviously, that's completely personal preference, up to you. And that is all I have for the filters. So one thing you will notice on my tape that we did not cover in filters or alerts is this blue shading right here. What that blue shading is telling you, if you go over to visual settings, it is telling you that there are trades coming in above the ask or below the bid. If you guys are familiar with my live stream, this is typically what I refer to as a level 2 trade, because it is not trading at the level 1, it is trading above it or below it. And those are highlighted with this blue row here. Okay, last but not least, we have the DOM over here. So a couple of cool things you can do with the DOM is you can add these volume histograms, the volume profiles, onto the DOM itself. So if we right-click the DOM, we go to Settings, we can see all the different columns that we can include on this DOM. So I have mine laid out as a histogram. We have the bids. We have the price in the middle. We have the ask, and then we have another histogram. So this first histogram here is the current day's histogram, and the one on the right is the current week. Now they look identical right now because today is Sunday. The current day and the current week are identical. All right, everybody, that is all for now. Thank you all for sticking around until the end. Please hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and if you would like to try out ATAS, be sure to click the first link in the description below for a free trial. Once again, thank you guys for all being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace, guys.